tell me what you think of the NFC North.
Okay.
Do you love the Lions again this year? Packers, we know, are always a solid team. Everybody loves the Bears once again because same year, new year, same old thing with the Bears. And then the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, a rookie essentially, hasn't started an NFL game yet. You have one of the better coaches in the NFL, one of the best receivers in Justin Jefferson. Great season last year. Are they going to do that again? So what do you make of the NFC North?
So I'd lean the Packers out of all of the options. I have questions about Detroit. They keep a lot of their superstars and a lot of their core, which is great, but they lose their offensive-minded genius. They lose a defensive-minded guy, right? With the DC going now and coaching the Jets and Aaron Glenn, and then Ben Johnson now with a rival in the Chicago Bears. So I got some questions there. How is that going to work? I think Ben Johnson is primarily responsible for the rise and the ascension of one Jared Goff. So question marks there. Chicago, a lot of question marks. Caleb Williams seems to hate them. That's not good. Morale cannot be good there. Ben Johnson is, I'm very curious as to the dynamic of like the Ben Johnson with the Lions versus Ben Johnson when he's running his own ship, because it's very different. Like, you're not just getting Ben Johnson as this offensive guru. He has to do everything now. So there's a lot more on his plate. I don't think he's a guy that actually wants to be a head coach, BJ, if I'm being 100% honest. I think that's why he waited for as long as he did to pick the right opportunity. I mean, he said basketball guys were the reason he didn't want to come to D.C. He said, his options were like the DC or the Jets. At the time, not great. I get that. But there's something about his personality style that does not lead me to believe he is going to be a very good head coach. When you eventually hit a tough spot in the NFL season, how is that going to work? Not well. And then you have the Vikings, who have a rookie quarterback, effectively. McCarthy's not a full rookie, but he's basically a rookie. And my biggest issue with them is, from a year-to-year standpoint, defense is hard to replicate. You were so good last year. For whatever the reason is, it just feels like it will not be the same this year. We've seen this countless different times with countless different defenses. You have to be one of the elites of the elites to be good, put together stretches of multiple years in a row being as good as it feels like Minnesota was last year. I don't think they'll be able to do that. I think the Packers are the most well-rounded team, and I think Jordan Love is the best quarterback in that division.
I agree with that. I think Love's the best quarterback in the division. I agree with a lot of your assessments. I also like the Packers to win this division. And for me, Denton, it's just kind of by default, man. Like, the Lions, I think, are going to take a big step back. You mentioned Ben Johnson leaving to take the Bears head coaching job. Also, Aaron Glenn left them as well. We're going to find out real quick how good of a head coach Dan Campbell is, because now he doesn't have his coordinators anymore that he can rely on. He had to bring in 2 new guys to try and figure this thing out. Obviously, they had an awesome season last year. Their schedule is way more difficult this year, Denton, including way more outdoor games. And the Bears' schedule is also as equally difficult as the Lions, because both the Lions and the Bears have to play all of the same AFC North teams on the road and at home. They have to play the same AFC East or NFC East teams on the road and on the home. So both Bears and Lions, extremely tough schedules. And you're right about Minnesota. Seems like everything that could have gone right, kind of the last couple years for Minnesota have. They've been on the right side of a lot of one-score games. They've been relatively healthy. I know McCarthy got hurt last year, but they had Darnold waiting in the wings. I think there could be some growing pains with Minnesota. So by default, I'm with you. And I don't even like the Packers all that much, but I think at the price at which you're getting them, plus 275, I think they win that division. But here's what I think you do with the NFC North. You ready? So the Lions are plus 120 to win the division. The Packers are plus 275. Mm-hmm. Those two teams play each other in week 1, correct, of the NFL season. And Detroit is at Lambeau. They're about a 1.5-point favorite. If you like the Packers to win the division, you bet Green Bay to win that game on the money line. You bet Green Bay to take down Detroit. If Detroit wins that game and you lose your Packers bet, you come right back and you bet the Packers to win the division. Because if Detroit wins that week 1 game, they're going to be minus money most likely. Packers are going to drop to like 4-1 plus 550, and you'll get an even better price. But listen to the schedules that these two teams have to start the season. You ready? Lions schedule at the Packers week 1. Home against the Bears in Ben Johnson's return, right, against the Lions. Then you're at the Ravens on Monday night, home against Cleveland, at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, home against Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football as well. So they have 3 primetime games in that span. You have to play at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, and at Kansas City, arguably the 3 best quarterbacks in the AFC, obviously outside of Josh Allen as well. And then you got Tampa in primetime as well, who, oh, by the way, beat the Lions in Detroit last year at home.
Good times.
And then even though Cleveland on paper looks like the easiest game, Den, you know me. These are the spots I love betting into in the NFL. These are why survivor pools are impossible, because it's game like that where you're like, oh, the Lions are home against the Browns. They're 2 touchdown favorites. It'll be an easy cakewalk win. Well, when you have the fact that they had to go at Baltimore the week before, and then they have to play at Cincinnati and at Kansas City the weeks after, probably going to be a little bit of a sandwich spot, maybe a little bit of a letdown spot there for the Lions. Kind of the game that they look at and they're like, maybe this is the game we catch our breath. Maybe we don't watch film as much. Maybe we don't dial up as many exotic plays. And that's a dangerous game when you play that in the NFL. So the start to their schedule is brutal. On the flip side, the Green Bay Packers, home against the Lions, home against Washington, then you're at Cleveland, you're at Dallas, bye week, home against Cincinnati, at Arizona, at Pittsburgh, home against Carolina. I mean, they're going to be favored in like all of these games for the most part. You could have some games that are close. And, you know, they got some tricky ones in there, but certainly a much more favorable start for Green Bay. So I think there's opportunity there in that week 1 game, right? Because the Lions have been the team to beat in that division the last couple of years, because they're playing the first week of the season. If the Lions win that game, I think everybody's going to be like, oh, here we go again. Lions are back. Doesn't matter if they lost both coordinators. The Lions are still the best team to beat in the NFC North. But with the way that schedule shapes out, Denton, and the price that we could potentially get on Green Bay, I love it. So that's how I'm attacking the NFC North. Your thoughts?
I think it's very smart. I love that you've already planned this out.
Thank you.
I mean, it's very classic, by the way. I mean, this is vintage PJ Glasser planning this out the way that you have. Would you rather, though, bet Detroit week 1? Or are you still going with Green Bay? Because then you run the risk of losing that. But if in your scenario, it would almost feel better to bet Detroit to beat Green Bay, so you capitalize off that and then go turn around and bet Green Bay to win the division.
You could do that as well. You could mini hedge in a sense, right? If you like Green Bay to win the division, maybe you take the Lions in week 1. But I like the Packers in that game, so I'm going to be betting the Packers to win that game. And if they do, and I don't get as great of price on the division, then so be it. The way I look at it is I'm betting the Packers week 1 if they do get that instant return. Whereas if they lose and I get a better price on the division, then I'll have to wait 17 weeks for that bet to be over. You know what I mean?
Right. So, that makes sense.
I'd rather just get the instant return.
I mean, I think that division is there's multiple divisions this year, PJ, that I happen to find fascinating. That is one of them because of the amount of question marks surrounding teams that most people are going to be gambling. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to say good teams because I don't know if Chicago's good, but people are going to gamble a lot on Chicago, very similar to what they did last year.